Hey, welcome back to Mike's Diabetes World. Today I want to talk about meal plans. Now, since moving into this establishment, I haven't had to worry about meal plans whatsoever. My meals are delivered 3 times a day and 2 stacks. I count the carbs, I take the carb count and put it into my insulin pump. It delivers me meals, and I'm fine. But if I was at home, I had a meal prep service, which would deliver me lunch and dinner, and I'd have toast and peanut butter in the morning. I survived on that for years. Occasionally would order in a meal. Who doesn't do that occasionally? But I would always count the carbs. Now, they told me, and I may be totally wrong in this, that it was all based on a slice of bread being 15 carbs. And since then, everything relates back to that. A small vegetable is around 15 carbs. Medium can be 18, depending on the size. For years, I counted like that. Now, I just have to sit here, count the carbs in my meals, and then eat my meals. Sounds pretty simplistic. They decide what vegetables I get, portion of meat, portion of carbs, portions of fruit. It's all very simplistic. Now, the picture that was on the thumbnail was actually of a meal they served me here. It was a while ago, but that I believe was a lunch meal. As you see, I had vegetables, I had a starch, and I had a protein. You need to really, if you're just newly diagnosed with diabetes, you need to sit down with a dietitian or attend carb counting classes. You really have to learn how to do this easily. If you don't, then your whole diabetes program might as well be out the window. Keeping your blood sugar within range is the important thing. Never just assume. You can use the computer, you can use your phone, you can use a textbook. I call it textbook, but it's Calorie King's weight loss, but it has pictures of all different types of fruit, and I go through there, find the category, and add the carbs that way. Back when I was at home, I'd know what I was going to be eating. I could figure out the carbs and eat. Here, I don't really have that luxury. That I can say, well, I feel like pork chops tonight. Bake me pork chops. We don't have that luxury. It would be nice, but when they're trying to feed 200 people in this facility, it's a little hard to say, Oh, yes, I want that. So, the food here, just as a side, the food here is actually okay. But it always could be better. Sometimes you get ice cream for dessert. There's always a main meal and then dessert. Lunchtime, we always have a soup to add into the mix. So it's a well rounded meal. And that's what you should be aiming for. Keep away from high salty foods, high fat foods. If you're planning your meals, you want to take a look at your plate as a whole. If you take, if my face is the plate, this here should be divided. Half should be salads, quarter should be protein, and a quarter should be starch. When I first was diagnosed with diabetes, we had an exchange program where you had to eat all your exchanges every day. And if you missed one, you had a chance of going low. Now we give insulin based on the amount of carbs you're eating. And that seems to open us up for a lot better of meals. Sorry. But still, if you're eating out, you sort of have to plan. You could call up restaurants, ask for their menus, and you can ask things how they're made and come up with a carb count that way. I had to go to my high school reunion. I, I knew the restaurant they were choosing. I phoned, I got the meal, and then they decided to go somewhere else. So I went and got my meal from there, ate it separately, and showed up for dessert and coffee, which is kind of ironic. As a diabetic, I shouldn't have had dessert, and I definitely shouldn't have coffee. I'm deadly allergic to coffee. But all in all, it keeps me centered. The only thing that are really free is sugar-free chewing gum, water, tea, coffee. Fruit juices have starch, which means they have carbohydrates. I like carbohydrates. Carbohydrates. So always remember to eat right. Have suitable balanced meals. Breakfast, I before work got into the habit of eggs. I'd fry an egg on a piece of English muffin as I was heading out the door. Lunch was more substantial because I usually ended up either eating at the stores I worked at or at head office commissary, which was the cafeteria. We kept things going for many years. But we knew, or I knew, how many carbs I was putting into my body, and I would give my insulin accordingly. When I first started deciding that I was going to take care of my health, I gave my shot, and I would still go and eat whatever I wanted. It took me a while to figure out that, oh, I have a formula. And once I started using the formula given to me by my doctor, things straightened out. I wasn't having lows in the middle of the afternoon and sometimes night. So speak to your doctor about getting into a carb counting class, or at least speaking to a dietitian who can go over things. Or if you want, you can sign up for diabetes education that will go over everything. And you should have fun and understanding. Carb counting really isn't as difficult as it sounds. In fact, it's easy once you learn. Have a great day and we'll talk later. Bye now. My email address is Mike's Diabetes World at gmail.com. All one line. Drop me